The Moon Daughter. Chapter 8. Snow muffled the courtyard at dawn, turning the world outside Selena's window into a blank, breathless page. She stood at the sill, palms pressed to the cold glass, watching Crescent-Fang soldiers shuffle into formation for first light drills. 2 months ago they would have ignored her presence now. When her shadow crossed the frost-fogged panes, several paused to bow in her direction. A jolt of unease slid through her ribs. Admiration could flip to fear in a breath. Reese appeared below, shouting commands. When one young recruit fumbled a spear, he corrected grip with patient hands, then looked up and offered Selena a brief 2-finger salute. She smiled, steadied by his quiet constancy. A knock sounded. Jonas entered with a leather folio and a cup of steaming bark tea. "Council wants an update on outer patrols by midday," he said, setting the cup on her table. "And Nadra expects a progress report on Frost Ward drills." "In other words, convince them I'm useful," Selena replied, forcing a wry tone. He raised an eyebrow. "You saved 90 riders at the quarry yesterday. I'd call that useful. And still they ask for tempering rituals." She sipped the tea, bitter and bright on her tongue. "They'd freeze me in ice if it put their fears to sleep." Jonas's expression softened. Fears can't be buried, only walked through. She exhaled, nodded, and followed him into the corridor. Frost Guard volunteers, 30 strong now, waited at the training yard's archway. Garrick Stonehide thumped fist to chest in greeting. Anna Torvine flipped her braid over one shoulder and grinned. Finnell clutched a new wooden practice staff, cheeks flushed with pride. Selena addressed them. "Today we drill layered veils. Doubters will be watching. Let them." She raised a gloved hand. Frost spiraled across the packed snow, forming 2 concentric circles 5 paces apart. "Inner ring shields, outer ring counters." Jonas took command of archers outside the circle. Reese inspected footwork. The drill began. Frost Guard pairs slid into position, weaving thin, gleaming veils that looked fragile, yet held when blunt arrows struck. Garrick's shield flickered unsteady. Selena stepped beside him, guiding breath, until his shield shimmered like river ice. Garrick laughed. "Feels like wearing light." Halfway through the set, Myron hurried across the yard, cloak streaming. She murmured at Selena's ear. "Nadra and Auric wait in the war hall. They've brought a priest from the lowlands, something about a ceremony of temperance." Selena's stomach tightened. "Have Reese run the second pattern, I'll meet the elders." Inside, the war hall's hearth crackled low. Shadows clung to the rafters. Elder Nadra stood near the map table, wolf fur mantle heavy across thin shoulders. Beside her, Auric's iron plate reflected firelight. Between them paced a silver-haired priest draped in gray linen, eyes glassy with the zeal of new purpose. Ronan arrived moments after Selena, Frost still clinging to his cloak hem. He glanced at her, stormy gaze asking, "You all right?" Then faced the elders. Nadra spoke first. "Crescent-Fang trembles beneath rumor. A symbolic right to temper frost would reassure the populace." Selena folded her arms. "You want to bind my magic publicly?" "Not bind," the priest interjected, voice oily. "Harmonize. The rite of gentle quenching has soothed violent flares since first moons." Ronan's jaw ticked. "No rite touches her frost without consent." Auric stepped forward. "And if her power lashes out again? A soldier lies frozen this morning." Selena stiffened. "Take me to him." They crossed a breezeway to the southern training yard where a cluster of guards stood over a prone figure encased in milky ice from chin to boots. Selena knelt, palms hovering. Frost lines were wrong, crystalline branches spidering inward instead of blooming outward. Sabotage. "See the filament pattern?" Reese knelt opposite. Cold struck from the ground, not her hands. He lifted a splinter of ice with the tip of his dagger and sniffed. Salt ash and juniper residue. Nadra frowned. Intentional framing. Selena spread her fingers, drawing warmth into frost until the ice cracked. The young spearman inside gasped, shaken but alive. Guards carried him to the infirmary. Auric watched, lips thin. "Your right won't fix fear," Selena told him. "Truth will." They returned to the hall. Nadra dismissed the priest with a curt nod, then faced Selena. "The sword of rumor cuts at both ends. We need a gesture." Selena's voice stayed even. "I'll give them demonstration, not shackles. Tonight the Frost Guard and I will perform an open defense drill. Invite anyone to watch." Auric sneered. "Display instead of discipline." Ronan's voice cut like a blade. "Display of mastery calms better than forced penance." After the elders left, Ronan pinched the bridge of his nose. Close now, Selena saw exhaustion bruised beneath his eyes. "You nearly ripped Auric's throat," she said quietly. "He stirs memory of my father's counsel. Sly demands dressed as protection." He moved toward the window. Snowflakes drifted like ashes. "I feel claws prick skin each time he speaks." She joined him, shoulder brushing his. "Does the bond steady you?" He hesitated. "More than I admit." Silence pooled, thick and intimate. A guard's shout outside broke the moment. Later that night, under a scythe moon, Ronan met Selena at the frost garden beyond the walls. Columns of ice lilies she'd coaxed from snowfall weeks ago. Torches ringed the clearing, casting amber on white petals. They wore sparring gear, leather vambraces, padded tunics. Steel practice blades gleamed. Ronan circled, eyes keen. "Purpose. Test your focus when bond provokes distraction." "Yours or mine?" Selena asked, grip firm. "Both." He lunged, she parried. Frost slid slick beneath boots, forcing balance and breath. Sparks flew from blades. He feinted left, she flowed right, frost trailing in delicate sweeps. Each impact hummed, bond weaving pulse to pulse. She felt his frustration, his desire, his fear, all pounding in her bloodstream. At a sudden break, he caught her wrist, twist counterlock. Instead of pain, heat sparked where skin met glove. She inhaled sharply. They froze, bodies inches apart, breaths fogging between. His pupils dilated golden lakes in storm clouds. Her voice barely a whisper. "If the bond vanished, would you still want me?" Tortured silence. His hand trembled, but he didn't release. She felt his answer in the frantic rhythm under his thumb. Yet words did not come. He let go, stepping back like a man edging away from a cliff. Frost at her feet cracked, disappointed. She bowed slightly, ended the session. He watched her walk away, sword limp at his side. After midnight, Ileana slipped through the library with Corin and Lisa tiptoeing behind. The children carried lanterns. Their faces glowed pale gold. They reached a shelf, hidden in shadow, ancient ledgers on bone-dry parchment. Ileana pressed her staff to the floor. The stone shifted, revealing a trapdoor. Down a spiral stair they entered a chamber lined with moon-etched tiles. At its center, a copper chest sealed with blackened wax. Ileana murmured an invocation, frost uncurled like petals, breaking the seal. Inside, a single parchment, edges charred, script in blood ink. Corin read aloud haltingly until words blurred. The final line clawed Selena's name from centuries before she was born. One must die for the other to live. Vaughn's chamber smelled of iron. Drawers yanked open, bed slashed. Vaughn's sword lay untouched. But the ornate crown of Ascension rested on the windowsill, its wolf heads now streaked with a crust of crimson frost. Jonas examined it, gloved fingers careful. "Blood-bound ice," he whispered. "If Ronan wore this, madness." Selena stared, skin crawling. Someone inside knew he considered unity rites. Ronan arrived wordlessly, eyes burning. He turned the crown over, then set it down with reverence, poisoned by rage. "Find them." Finnell's hound barked down the corridor. A scullery maid cowered, pointing toward the banquet hall. Guards raced. Dinner commenced an hour later, a strained feast meant to prove unity. Selena sat between Mirren and Hilda, Opposite, Ronan drank sparingly. Nadra raised a goblet, praising the frost guard. Oryx sipped, but said nothing. Halfway through, a thin kitchen boy named Patter slipped beside Selena, ostensibly to refill her cup. Hilda noticed glint of steel. She lunged, the blade sliced her arm, stopping inches from Selena's throat. Chaos erupted. Guards tackled Patter. His eyes shone fanatic. Blood dripped from Hilda's sleeve onto white tablecloth. Patter spat, voice feral. The storm wakes, the frostborn must fall. Ronan vaulted the table, claws half-formed. Selena threw arms around Hilda, frost surging in a halo so cold steam hissed from spilled wine. Guests recoiled, breath fogging. She fought urge to solidify the hall in ice. She focused, forced calm. Frost receded like a tide. Healers rushed in. Mirren pressed linens to Hilda's wound. Selena's voice broke. Hold on. Please. Hilda managed a faint grin. A scratch. Seen worse birthing twins. Ronan dragged Patter to his knees. Who sent you? Patter coughed crimson. Bram opens the gate. Moon tears crown. Witch dies. Then his eyes rolled back. A glassy sheen coated irises. Silver salt concealed in his mouth took him. Ronan released him, fists shaking. The room swayed with fear and awe. Later in the infirmary, Selena sat beside Hilda's cot, rubbing cold from her fingers. Ronan stood in the doorway, shoulders stone-heavy. She whispered, I wanted to freeze everything. You didn't. It felt good, the power. He stepped closer. It also spared the innocent. Hilda slept. Mirren ushered her out gently. Selena walked numb through silent corridors until torchlight led her to the frost garden. She sank onto a bench, breath misting. Snowflakes drifted. Ice lilies shimmered under half-moon glow. Ronan appeared from darkness, boots crunching. He didn't speak, simply sat beside her. She saw tremor in his hands, seized one between hers. Cold met warmth, bond pulsing. He murmured, The bond isn't chains, it's the only part of me not carved in scar. Tears sparked behind her eyes. She leaned her head to his shoulder. Frost gathered over the stones, gentle as first snow, encircling their feet like a silent promise. Wind howled beyond the garden walls, yet inside, stillness held. For one fleeting heartbeat, the storm outside stilled. Wind must have sensed the hush in the frost garden, because it declined to penetrate the stone wall for the next long minutes. Selena and Ronan sat shoulder to shoulder until the heat of their breathing melted thin, crescent pools on the ice lilies. The bond between them no longer roared. It breathed, steady, unavoidable. A bell tolled twice in the distance, breaking the fragile calm. Ronan sighed. Jonas will want a statement before rumor invents its own. Selena straightened. And Ilyana asked to see me. She found something. She wouldn't tell what. They stood, neither ready to detach. Finally, Ronan lifted her hand, laid a light kiss on her knuckles. His voice dropped. After we speak to Jonas, meet me in the war room. We should read whatever prophecy she found together. She nodded, parted reluctantly, and headed for the library tower. The tower smelled of dust and lamp oil. Corin and Lisa knelt on a rug near Ilyana, who knelt in turn before a scroll spread across the floor, weighted by moonstones at each corner. The parchment looked brittle enough to crumble if breathed on too hard. Selena approached, heart thudding. Ilyana glanced up. Found in a chamber sealed with blood wax, hidden since the reign of Ronan's grandfather. Selena dropped to her knees. Hand-drawn glyphs wove down the sheet in crimson ink that glinted darkly metallic in lantern light. Lysa traced a single line with awestruck finger. It says your name, she whispered. The glyph was not exactly Selena, but the older lunar root for it. Selena, Frostbearer. Selena's stomach folded. Ilyana touched the parchment delicately, reading aloud. When the Frostbearer claims breath of the Iron Alpha, Gold will burn silver, and one must die for the other to live. Corin whispered, Die. Selena's pulse skipped. Could mean sacrifice, not literal death. Ileana shook her head. Prophecy writers loved riddles. Still, the starkness worries me. Where's the rest? Selena asked. Ripped out, Corin said. Look at the edges. Indeed, torn fragments suggested a longer text now lost. Selena exhaled shakily. Ronan must see this. Ileana placed the scroll into a metal tube. Then go. I'll keep the children busy. Selena squeezed Corin's shoulder, kissed Lysa's forehead, and hurried down spiraling steps. In the war room, Jonas paced before the map table. Vaughn leaned on his spear, jaw tight. Rhys sat on the corner polishing a dagger. Mirren brewed black-leaf tea at the hearth. Ronan stood away from them all, arms folded, staring at the crown of ascension, sealed inside a crystal box on the mantel, now guarded by 4 soldiers. Jonas looked up as Selena strode in. Patrols found 3 more crimson crescents etched on outer walls. Whoever helped Patter had accomplices, likely still inside. Vaughn added, Armed search of servant quarters starts at dusk. We'll try not to terrify the innocent. Selena unhooked Ileana's scroll tube. Add this to your worries. Ronan's brow furrowed. She unrolled the parchment on the map. Everyone gathered. Silence lengthened. Rhys released a low whistle. Light, take it. That's blunt. Ronan read the lines twice, then lifted eyes to Selena. One must die. Prophecies bend when witnessed. Jonas interjected quickly, though his face looked carved from worry. We've broken plenty already. Ronan ignored him. If the bond demands a life, we decide which life. Selena set a hand on the parchment. Or we refuse sacrifice. Vaughn cleared his throat. Whether symbolic or real, some elder factions will seize on this. Auric will howl. Auric is in chains, Ronan growled, though the reminder of his own elder's betrayal clearly stung. Jonas pinched the bridge of his nose. We need to control not only prophecy but perception. Public unity right is postponed indefinitely, crown secured. Frostguard presence increased at every choke point. Selena nodded. And we schedule an open Frostguard drill tomorrow dawn. No illusions, no theatrics, just defense. Ronan looked at her hand resting on the crimson ink. You're sure? I trust steel less than truth. He released a breath. Then let's feed them truth. Dusk darkened to indigo. Tension in the keep thickened like old syrup as guards began room-to-room sweeps. Selena helped Mirren move Hilda from infirmary cot to a private chamber, clean, fire-lit, free of panic chatter. Hilda murmured jokes through fever haze. Tell Frostborn not to scowl. Swordmaster needs practice target. Selena smiled, pressed cool fingers to Hilda's brow. Fever eased. When she left, corridor lanterns flickered. 2 soldiers jogged past escorting a sack-hooded prisoner. Whispered words drifted. Found silver salt in laundry bins. Sabotage never slept. Later, Selena walked the parapet to clear her head. Snow spiraled into black sky. She closed eyes, breathing cold that tasted of iron and pine. Footfalls approached. Ronan's rhythm. She didn't turn until he touched her forearm. Search Net's traitors, he said, voice rough. But each one caught feels like another stone in my gut. You're king, not God, she murmured. I'm responsible either way. She faced him fully. Moonlight silvered the scar on his jaw. Shadows under his eyes looked deeper. A tremor ran through his shoulders. She placed her palm on his chest. The bond hummed, smoothing his ragged breath. He closed his eyes. When you're near, the wolf lies down. But what if I start needing that calm more than my own will? Then we share the burden, she said. Tether is two-way. He opened his eyes, vulnerable, raw. Train with me again tonight. Farther out, no prying eyes. She hesitated, then nodded. Give me an hour. Midnight found them beyond the eastern wood, a snow-dusted meadow lit by bone-pale moon. No torches, only starlight on steel. Ronan wore minimal armor, trusting instinct. Selena felt the land's hush, like it paused to eavesdrop. They began with slow forms, blade circles mirrored steps. Frost skated under Selena's boots, following her curves. Ronan's breath steamed in bright clouds. Gradually speed rose. Steel rang. He feinted, she riposted, wrists sliding like water. Closeness woke the bond, warmth coiling under cold. Breath hitched. He locked her blade, pressed close, she countered, palm against his ribs. Heartbeats collided. Their faces hovered inches. She asked, low, without bond, would you still crave this? His grip tightened, jaw flexed, but no answer. Pain flickered across his face. A man who wants but cannot confess. He released her, stepped back, blade lowering. The bond shivered. Frost lilies wilted under her disappointment. She sheathed sword. Training ends. She turned, walked toward the tree line. Snow squeaked. Behind, his whispered, Selena? Never finished. She kept walking. The moon hall staircase spiraled like a throat of stone swallowing her doubts. She descended alone, torch in hand, to the sealed chamber Ilyana had unburied. Frost orb runes glimmered faint. She needed truth unsheathed from riddle. At the copper chest she knelt, feeling the residual pulse of ancient ice. She laid both palms on cold metal, closed her eyes, reached inward, past training drills, past sabotage, past almost kisses, to the core of her frost. A soft hum answered. The chest creaked open a sliver further than before. A second vellum scrap slid forward, previously lodged in the bottom seam. Breath held, she unfolded it. Only 4 words remained legible. Bond can rewrite doom. She exhaled, shaky, hope inked in blood. Footsteps echoed above. Jonas descended, torch bobbing. Selena? Guards reported you missing. She showed him the scrap. He read, brow arching. Rewrite, not break. That's new. Tell no one yet, she said, not until we comprehend it. Jonas nodded. Secrets breed rot, but timing matters. They returned topside. By the time she reached her chamber, frost on her fingertips glittered with quiet determination. Morning exploded with alarm bells. Selena jerked awake, threw on cloak, raced for the corridor, colliding with Reese. Crown room breached, he shouted. They sprinted to the war hall. Guards lay stunned but breathing. The crystal case stood smashed, yet the cursed crown remained inside, untouched. Instead, the intruders had scrawled a crimson message across the oak table in blood-like paint. Wolf King will break, Frost Queen will shatter. Ronan stormed in behind Vaughn. His eyes glowed furious gold, claws half extended. Selena intercepted him, placing a palm to his sternum. The bond vibrated, his breathing slowed. Jonas appeared, holding 2 broken steel hooks. They tried to steal the crown. Something spooked them. Reese pointed at tracks, slim footprints leading to an open arrow slit. One infiltrator, small, possibly child again. Selena swallowed a fresh surge of rage. Using children sickened her more than any saboteur tactic. Set watch on every window, she said. Ronan's claws receded. He met her gaze. A silent vow to protect. She nodded, then requested the chamber. When elders arrived, Nadra looked aghast at the message. Oric's seat sat empty, but others eyed Selena warily. She showed them the sabotage evidence, the corrupted frost wedge they'd pried from the window frame. Reese demonstrated how the wedge interacted violently with her magic, proof she was not its origin. Doubt in elder eyes cracked. Nadra finally said, Our enemy weaponizes fear. We must counter with trust. Ronan faced the room. Tonight's unity rite is canceled forever. Selena and I will choose our path, not parade it. And because of the calm in his voice, no one challenged. Twilight again. Selena stood at Hilda's bedside reading Reese's scribbled ballad to keep the old healer entertained. Hilda drifted in and out. At one point she blinked and smiled. Moonfrost Queen sounds pompous. Selena laughed, tension easing. Ronan hovered at the doorway, watching with warm eyes. After Hilda dozed, he gestured for Selena to follow. They stepped into the frost garden, where torches guttered low. "I owe you an answer," he said. She waited, heart in throat. He swallowed hard. "Bond or not, I would want you." Bond only amplified what already sparked. Relief and ache mingled. She managed. "I feared truth would hurt worse than silence." He brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. "Truth wounds only if we let fear fester. No more." She leaned forehead to his. "We still might die, prophecy or not." "Then let's live first." Frost drifted down silent applause. They didn't kiss. Instead, they simply breathed, pulses sinking until even the wind seemed staged to still. For one fleeting heartbeat, the second that night, the storm beyond the walls hushed, and two battered souls stood quiet together, rewriting doom, one promise at a time. Night slipped past midnight, yet the keep refused sleep. Torches burned lower, throwing restless shadows across stone, and every corridor felt stretched, too narrow for suspicion, too wide for comfort. Selena had thought fatigue would dull her nerves. Instead, each heartbeat ran sharper, as if frost filled her veins with shards of glass. She stood on a balcony above the inner ward, watching patrolling lamps drift like fireflies. Below, frost guard pairs passed in quiet cadence. The new recruits, Finnell, Garrick, Anna, walked their routes with shoulders squared, clutching vows deeper than blankets of snow. Bootsteps approached. Jonas. He carried 2 steaming mugs. "Herbal broth," he said. "Stronger than tea, kinder than wine." She accepted, inhaling sage and marrow. Nearly dawn. He leaned on the parapet. "You realize you've become the first person Vaughn checks with before posting Night Watch." "He checks me because Ronan asked." "Not entirely." Jonas sipped. "Trust cannot be commanded forever. Eventually it roots, or it withers." She tilted her mug. "How are your roots?" He smiled, weary, but sincere. "I've always believed storms are just weather. Kingdoms survive weather if they keep foundation steady." He looked at her. "You've become part of that foundation." Selena's cheeks warmed at the unintended compliment. "Foundations crack under weight." "Then we add stone," he said. "We don't remove the arch." She opened her mouth to reply when a bell clanged, hollow and frantic. Both turned toward the southern wall. 1, 2, 3, rapid tolls. The pattern, Reese coded for breach near livestock pens. Selena set broth aside. Sprinted. In the stable court, torchlight flickered over confusion. 2 frost guard lay sprawled at a gate they'd been assigned. Garrick cradled his shoulder, arrow protruding, while Anna knelt over Finnell's dog, the hound whimpering with an arrow in its flank. Snow beyond the gate churned with prints that vanished into dark woods. Selena skidded to a halt. "Report!" Garrick grimaced. 3 shapes in gray, small, quick, took something from inside the supply shed. Blood seeped around the arrow shaft. Anna pressed cloth to the hound's wound. Tears tracked soot on her face. "They shot Moth. He tried to warn us." Reese arrived with Vaughn seconds later, swords drawn. Ronan followed at a slower, deliberate stride, gold simmering in his eyes. Selena crouched by Garrick, frost forming a ring around the wound to numb pain. "Arrows barbed. Myron must cut it." She called for a litter. Ronan surveyed the shed, a door torn from hinges. Inside lay shattered crates of wolf feed, but also smashed runestones Selena had placed hours earlier, meant to project a faint, calming field for restless horses. "Saboteurs no longer aim at me, but anything I create," she muttered. She lifted a broken stone. The inscribed rune looked freshly etched with lines crossing out initial sigils as though someone tried to invert the calming charm into agitation. She clenched her fist. Shards crackled into frost dust. Vaughn barked orders. Rhys followed tracks. They ended at a rope over the wall. Swift escape. Snow still fell, erasing prints quickly. Rhys cursed under his breath. Who arms children with barbed arrows? Someone who traded conscience for fear, Jonas answered, arriving with Myron. Myron assessed Garrick. Arrow tip laced with ash again, she said. Sedates frost. Delays healing. How delightful. Her sarcasm masked anger. Selena watched Garrick carried away, Anna trailing, hound limp in arms. She felt responsibility crawl up her throat like bile. She turned to Ronan. I want curfew on kitchen staff children until this ends. He nodded, jaw tight. Already ordered. They walked side by side toward the infirmary wing, moonlit snow squeaking. Ronan's shoulders rode high with unshed tension. 3 days of sabotage, he said. Each one sharper. Desperation escalates, she answered, or prophecy forces their hand. He glanced at her profile, voice low. The one must die line spreads already. I heard guards muttering while changing watch. Then we outrun it with action. She quickened steps. Frostguard demonstration at dawn goes ahead. People will see harmony, not doom. He caught her elbow gently, stopping her under an arch. If that prophecy chooses me, will you let me fall? She faced him. Firelight from courtyard torches stained his hair ember red. Bond can rewrite doom, she whispered, quoting the hidden scrap she hadn't yet shown him. Surprise flickered. You found more? A single line. She hesitated, then produced the vellum slip from her inner pocket. He read, exhaled. Rewrite. He echoed, hope and caution mingled. He folded the vellum, handed it back. We carve our own prophecy. She lifted her hand, brushed fingertips along his jaw. Even if carving draws blood. He turned, lips pressing a kiss to her palm. Brief. Electric. Especially then. Footsteps echoed. Vaughn approached with updates. They parted before he saw the touch. Dawn bled pale rose by the time Selena assembled the frost guard on the main parade ground. Snow glittered untouched, an empty canvas. Instructors of every garrison lined ramparts. Elders Nadra, Oric's temporary replacement Elder Soren, and dozens of villagers perched on benches. Ronan stood at the dais, flanked by Jonas and Rhys. Tension, thick as pine pitch. Selena stepped forward. Breath clouded. She raised her voice. We train not for spectacle, but protection. Frost answers calm. Calm begins here. She tapped chest. Watch. Garrick, bandaged but stubborn, joined the first rank. Anna supported Finnell's dog, bandaged flank swathed. Selena moved to the center. She remembered Ileana's guidance. Frost draws from breath, not muscle. A slow inhale. Frost exhaled, tracing a wide shield dome. The shield's surface shimmered, translucent, reflecting watchers' faces. Selena nodded to the guard. Garrick and 3 others took positions inside. Anna and archers outside. Arrows, Selena called. Anna fired 4 in quick succession. Each arrow slipped through shield's interior seam and curved as if drawn by wind, landing harmless behind Selena. Gasps rose. The crowd saw arrowheads mere inches from her backstop mid-flight. Next phase. Selena dissipated dome into 6 separate plates hovering around volunteers. They pivoted, blocking wooden darts hurled by watchers who volunteered to test. Snow hissed as deflected darts melted on contact. Cheers scattered. Doubt softened. Selena signaled final display. She raised both palms. Frost spiraled upward, forming a lattice of thin ice filaments arching overhead. The net glowed faint blue. Rhys stepped forward, tossed burning pitch pots skyward. As they fell, the net captured each, sizzling. Flames snuffed before shards reached ground. The net dissolved into harmless snow dust that drifted onto clapping spectators. Nadra whispered to Soren. They both nodded approval. Children giggled, stuck out tongues to catch icy motes. Tension loosened. Ronan descended from the dais, stopping beside her. In front of the crowd, he offered a soldier's clasp of her forearm. No regal spectacle, just respect. Applause swelled. He leaned closer, murmuring for her ear alone. You did more than calm them. You gave them wonder. She caught his gaze. Wonder uproots fear. The demonstration ended with bows. Volunteers carried training debris away. Selena noticed Oric's absence. Rumors said he'd been relocated to a remote holding cell pending trial. Good riddance. For now. Mid-morning, Jonas summoned Selena and Ronan to a storage alcove behind the records office. Torchlight revealed crates filled with sealed vials. Found hidden in kitchen cellar, he explained. Mixture of silver salt, juniper ash, and powdered winter's bane, enough to poison a battalion. Selena's skin prickled. More framing ingredients. Vaughn joined them, face grim. Also this. He produced a folded scrap of bark etched in jagged runes. Crown breaks, prophecy stands. It never ends, Selena muttered. Then we make it end, Ronan replied. He delivered orders. Flood kitchen cellars with salt water to neutralize residue. Check every servant's quarters. Non-essential staff outside inner ward until cleared. Selena followed Vaughn to supervise. Corridors buzzed with controlled chaos. Buckets sloshed, brooms scraped, children huddled in wool blankets while guards escorted them to safe halls. Finnell's voice rose calmly, instructing peers how to mine fire without smoke. Selena admired the young girl's grace amid fear. Outside laundry room, Selena found Anna seated on an overturned tub, head in hands. Still hear arrow snap, the archer murmured. Selena knelt. Courage isn't absence of echoes, it's walking while they ring. Anna managed ghost of a smile. You walk loud. Come help Garrick in infirmary. Purpose quiets echoes. Afternoon sun glinted off a convoy cresting distant ridges, envoys from neighboring packs summoned for a truth council. Nadra met them at the gate. Selena stood aside as envoys dismounted, eyes wary until they saw Frostguard drills continuing, and no sign of fiery chaos. Doubt narrowed to curiosity. During council, Ronan presented evidence. Broken runestones, corrupted ice, tainted crown, captured saboteurs' confessions. Jonas displayed the salvage scroll lines, explaining prophecy manipulation. Elders from visiting packs listened aghast. An envoy from Stone Ridge pack spoke. If Bram's zealots twist blood moon scripture, we, all packs, are targets. Selena addressed them directly, describing Frost's true nature. She extended a gloved hand. A small orb of ice formed, glowing like a captured star. Not a weapon born of hate, but of calm. She offered it to the envoy. He took it. Orb melted, warm water dripping. His shoulders relaxed visibly. Consensus emerged, cooperation. Supplies for Frostguard, joint patrols at borders. Amid caution, hope sparked. Twilight again draped the keep. Selena needed air and solitude, so she ventured beyond outer ramparts, following a deer trail rimed with icy ferns. Snow deepened to calf height, crunching under boots. Pines whispered. A hush settled, but not empty. She sensed presence. A figure stepped onto path. Sister Neris, somehow escaped custody. Frostguard should have been guarding cells. Shock froze Selena a heartbeat. Neris's eyes gleamed fever-bright. Blood bride walking alone, she hissed, voice ragged. Moon Grant's last chance. Selena reached for Frost, but Neris flung a vial. Glass shattered. Purple vapor bloomed. Selena leaped aside too late. Smoke inhaled burned like knives. Power roared chaotic. Frost leapt from her hands uncontrolled, blasting tree trunks to shards. She coughed, felt consciousness tilt. Neris advanced, knife raised. Death unbinds the howl. Knife or bond? Choose. A thunderous growl answered. Ronan erupted from trees, fully half-shifted, gold eyes, fangs bared. He slammed Nerys aside. Knife flew. The zealot struck a rock, crumpled. Ronan whirled to Selena, eyes wild. She fought poisoned haze. Frost lashed swirling arcs. Ronan's claws dug snow to anchor himself against her accidental barrage. He roared her name, voice part human, part wolf. She closed eyes, found breath. Calm. Calm. She pictured frost lilies at dawn. Fennel's dog's trusting eyes. Ronan kissing her palm. Frost retreated, dissolving into glitter, drifting harmlessly. Ronan's shifted form shrank. Human once more, he rushed to her. She braced on his arm. Smoke. Tainted. She rasped. He pressed forehead to hers, inhaled slow. Bond pulsed, clearing her lungs bit by bit. She breathed easier. Guards crashed through trees, Vaughn leading. They dragged Nerys, alive but unconscious, away. Ronan kept hold of Selena until her hands stopped trembling. Found you missing, he said, voice thick. Wolf guided me. She managed a weak laugh. I was rewriting doom. Went off script. He helped her walk back. Overhead, clouds parted, revealing the blood moon. 2/3 full. Luminous red amber. Selena stared, unsettled. Ronan followed her gaze. 2 weeks to full, he murmured. 2 weeks until prophecy's teeth. Yet for now she stood breathing, hand clasped by a king who feared losing her more than losing his crown. The next night, after cells were reinforced and Nerys bound with silver manacles, Selena visited the prisoner. Guard Farrak unlocked the door, eyes wary. Nerys sat shackled to wall, eyes sunken but lucid. She watched Selena with predatory resignation. Why children? Selena asked quietly. Adults doubt. Children obey? Nerys croaked. We needed small hands to slip through big cracks. Needed? Selena's voice cooled. Bram loses grip. Your fervor kills innocence. Nerys smiled. Bloodstains frost either way. Selena turned to leave. Nerys whispered, One must die. Better you. Selena paused. That choice is not yours. Frost drifted from her fingertips, coating the doorframe in a thin glaze, an unspoken barrier, and she left. Days passed in restless vigilance. Sunrise drills, council debates, late patrols. Yet beneath tasks, bond threads grew stronger. Each night, Selena and Ronan shared quiet in Frost Garden, a wordless ritual forging trust thicker than vows. They did not kiss, but sometimes their foreheads touched, and that was enough to keep storms at bay. On the 6th day, a scout arrived breathless. Elder Bram's stronghold burned. Villagers reported a massive wolf-shaped shadow tearing through salt stores before flames ignited. Rumor claimed the pale howl itself punished its servants. Council panicked, some cheered. Selena listened, concern deepening. If not Bram, who orchestrated next strike? After meeting, Ronan found her on rampart. Sunset-stained clouds, blood red. Shadow Wolf, he said. What do you think? That something older than Bram moves, and she answered. Something we woke. He clasped her shoulders. We face it. Together. She lifted her chin. Rewrite doom. He smiled. Tired but genuine. Lightning flickered on horizon. Silent. Violet. They watched, aware the final storm loomed yet not trembling. For a heartbeat, wind held breath. Frost glimmered over battlements like scattered stars, and 2 determined hearts beat steady against the coming tide.